Have you ever felt the weight of others' expectations crushing your spirit, forcing you to compromise your own desires? In a world that often applauds self-sacrifice, you've been taught that prioritizing yourself equals selfishness. But what if the path to true fulfillment lies in embracing unapologetic living? Imagine breaking free from the invisible chains of guilt and reclaiming your power to live authentically. This journey invites you to explore the depths of your worth and challenge the boundaries that have held you back for far too long. Unapologetic Living, Prioritize Yourself and Break Free from Guilt, written and published by Silent Validity. Lesson 1. Own your right to prioritize yourself. Every day, countless individuals play a familiar role: the caretaker, the peacekeeper, the counselor. Yet amid these roles, one profound truth often goes unexamined. You have an intrinsic right to prioritize your own needs and desires. The societal conditioning that teaches us to place others before ourselves is insidious. It subtly shapes our identities and distorts our perceptions of self-worth. Recognizing and reclaiming your right to self-prioritization is not merely an act of rebellion, it is an essential awakening to the profound value of your own existence. Psychologically, the quest for external validation often stems from deep-seated insecurities. Many people grow up in environments where worthiness is equated with meeting others' needs. This pattern creates a dependency on external affirmations, leaving a hollow sense of self in its wake. The pursuit of validation can manifest as a desperate need for approval or an incessant fear of disappointing others. Emotional reactions such as guilt, anxiety, or resentment often accompany this chase, as individuals feel they must constantly prove their value to those around them. Consider the story of Sarah, a talented graphic designer. For years, she bent over backward to please her clients and maintain harmony within her family. When her own dreams surged to the forefront, she quickly shoved them aside, fearing backlash from others. "What will they think if I choose to focus on my passions?" she questioned, trapped in the clutches of her self-imposed limitations. All Sarah could see were the expectations weighing down her aspirations. It took a significant burnout for her to realize that neglecting her own wants diminished her creativity and overall well-being. This scenario reflects how pervasive the need for validation can become. Many individuals constrict their identities to fit into the mold created by family, friends, or society at large. Such constraints often lead to feelings of unworthiness and self-doubt, perpetuating a cycle of discontent. The hidden truth is that by prioritizing others at the expense of your own needs, you engage in self-sabotage. You must confront the looming question: what happens to your authenticity when you disregard your own voice? Imagine sitting at a cafe, eyes fixed on a friend, as they animatedly share their accomplishments. As you listen, how often do thoughts emerge that diminish your own achievements? You may grapple with the notion that you don't deserve the same spotlight, leading to an unhealthy comparison. This blurring of self-prioritization and validation becomes a trap, inhibiting your growth and preventing real connections with others. Recognizing this emotional mechanism is the first step toward transformations that allow you to step back into your true self. As you begin to unpack the importance of prioritizing yourself, understand that it is not merely about self-interest. It is about fostering a healthier, more authentic way of living. To embrace unapologetic living, you must first acknowledge your right to exist without compromise. You possess the power to break free from chains that bind you, embracing the fullness of your desires. This journey towards self-prioritization is an invitation to unearth the authentic you, altering not only your life, but also those around you. The world needs your unique light, and only by honoring yourself can you truly illuminate it. Recognizing and halting the behavior of prioritizing others before yourself requires conscious awareness and intention. Start by observing your thoughts and reactions throughout the day. When you find yourself defaulting to a state of compliance or placing someone else's needs above your own, pause to ask yourself, why? What drives you to seek approval in that moment? This self-reflective practice is crucial in identifying patterns that have long dictated your behavior. Use a journal to capture these moments, writing down the specific triggers that make you feel compelled to put yourself last. Over time, you will begin to see a clearer picture of your emotional landscape and the underlying fears at play. Mindset shifts are powerfully transformative. Begin by reframing your internal dialogue. Replace phrases like, "I shouldn't focus on myself," with, "Prioritizing myself enhances my ability to help others." This simple adjustment positions self-care as a prerequisite for supporting others rather than an act of selfishness. Psychological research emphasizes that self-care leads to increased productivity and emotional resilience, thus enabling you to be more present and engaged in your relationships. Embrace the reality that your needs are valid, independent of others' perceptions. This acknowledgement lays the groundwork for a healthier balance between caring for yourself and others. Actionable exercises can further solidify these shifts. One effective approach is the 5-minute check-in. Set aside 5 minutes each day to assess your emotional state and needs. Ask yourself what you want or need at that moment, whether it's a break, indulgence in a guilty pleasure, or simply some quiet time. This practice encourages mindfulness and helps you cultivate a deeper understanding of your own desires. Similarly, challenge yourself to engage in one self-prioritizing activity each week. It could be as simple as taking a long bath, dedicating an afternoon to a hobby, or saying no to an invitation that drains your energy. Observe how these actions impact your mood and overall sense of self. Real-life case studies illuminate the importance of self-prioritization. Take the example of Mark, a manager who routinely sacrificed his personal time for late-night meetings. Initially, he believed he was being a dedicated employee. However, the toll on his mental health became evident. By implementing the strategies of reflection and scheduled self-care, he shifted his perspective, realizing that when he reallocated personal time, his productivity at work increased significantly. Not only did Mark reclaim his evenings, but he also fostered a more motivated and energized team. His experience corroborates the assertion that prioritizing oneself serves to enhance rather than detract from our responsibilities to others. As you engage in these practices and cultivate a mindset rooted in self-acceptance, visualize how powerful it feels to stand firm in your right to prioritize yourself. The journey will not always be easy, but it is certainly rewarding. In the upcoming lesson, we will delve into the often intimidating realm of guilt, the internal voice that tries to overshadow your newfound clarity. Prepare to confront those guilt-laden thoughts and emerge with strategies that will empower you to silence what holds you back. Remember, true empowerment awaits. Do not hesitate to share your thoughts on this lesson. Your feedback is essential as it helps develop a community of individuals committed to unapologetic living. Lesson 2. Silence the guilt that holds you back. Guilt is a powerful emotion, one that can suffocate our true desires and passions under heavy layers of obligation and expectation. It whispers insidiously, reminding you of all the ways you've fallen short, of all the people you might disappoint by asserting your needs. This burden can become so entrenched that many individuals can hardly distinguish between their authentic selves and the roles they play to appease others. The journey towards silencing this guilt is not merely a matter of asserting independence. It requires you to confront the long-standing beliefs that have conditioned you to prioritize others' needs above your own. Psychologically, the desire for validation is often rooted in our formative experiences. Many people grow up in environments where love and acceptance were contingent upon performance or compliance with specific expectations. This creates a pattern where the quest for validation becomes an integral part of one's identity. The subconscious message is clear. To be worthy of love and respect, you must earn it through self-sacrifice. In many cases, the guilt that arises when you consider prioritizing yourself is a remnant of these early experiences, a conditioned response that feels uncomfortable yet familiar. Consider the case of Emily, a committed mother juggling the demands of work and family. Though Emily excelled at her job and had personal aspirations, her days were filled with guilt about not being present enough at home. When she received an opportunity to further her career, her immediate thought was the potential disappointment it might cause her children. This internal conflict created a cycle where Emily felt compelled to overextend herself, sacrificing her own ambitions for fear of failing to meet others' expectations. Each time she considered doing something for herself, The guilt prevailed, clouding her clarity and extinguishing her enthusiasm. Scenario after scenario repeats this painful script. Picture yourself during a family gathering, constantly sensing the weight of judgment from relatives when you dare to express a differing opinion. Or think about the countless times you've accepted invitations out of obligation, even when your heart yearned for solitude. These moments serve as portals through which guilt seeps into your life, establishing patrons of emotions that render you helpless. The hidden truth is that while guilt may seem benevolent, acting as a moral compass, it often leads you away from your true self and stifles genuine connection with others. Acknowledging these experiences can be the first step in dismantling the hold that guilt has over you. By understanding the roots of your guilt, you can begin to confront the false narratives that have shaped your sense of worth. It's crucial to engage in honest self-reflection, exploring the thoughts that arise when you contemplate self-prioritization. Questioning the validity of these feelings lays the groundwork for empowering change. This process is akin to peeling back the layers of an onion, revealing the core of your desires obscured by guilt and obligation. The journey to silence guilt and reclaim your rightful place in your own life is fraught with challenges, yet it's profoundly liberating. As you grasp the emotional underpinnings of your experiences, remember that the path ahead is not about abandoning others, but rather enhancing your relationships by nurturing yourself first. Understanding this vital component of self-care empowers you to break free from the shackles of guilt and approach your life with intention. The real question now becomes, how do you reclaim your narrative? In the next lesson, we will explore how to set boundaries without feeling selfish, a critical skill in your journey toward unapologetic living. Recognizing and stopping guilt-driven behavior begins with acute self-awareness. Establish a practice of monitoring your emotional responses when faced with decisions that may conflict with your desires. When guilt emerges, take a step back and identify the source of this emotion. Ask yourself whom you are trying to please and why their approval weighs so heavily on your mind. Frequent reflections on your motivations can help unravel the intricate threads of guilt, revealing whether they are rooted in genuine concern or mere obligation. To reinforce this practice, create a guilt journal where you document instances of guilt and analyze the context, thoughts, and feelings associated with each situation. Over time, patterns will surface, helping you recognize when guilt is manipulating your choices. Mindset shifts play a pivotal role in breaking free from the cycle of guilt. Start reframing your perspective on personal wants and needs. Instead of seeing them as selfish or unjustified, adopt the belief that your needs are essential to your well-being and that fulfilling them enhances your capacity to contribute positively to the lives of those around you. This paradigm shift encourages you to view self-care as a strength rather than a weakness, facilitating growth that ultimately benefits not only you, but others in your orbit. Psychological research supports this notion, highlighting that those who engage in self-care practices tend to report greater happiness, improved health, and better relationships. To put these ideas into action, embrace the guilt-to-gratitude exercise. Whenever you feel guilt creeping in, pause and replace it with a statement of gratitude related to the choice you want to make. For instance, if you wish to decline an invitation to care for your needs, reframe your thought, I am grateful for the time I can spend nurturing my well-being, which helps me show up as my best self for those I care about. This technique allows you to redirect negative energy into positive affirmations, effectively drowning out the voice of guilt with gratitude. Real-life case studies can illustrate the transformative power of silencing guilt. Take Noah, a dedicated volunteer who took pride in giving his time to various charities. Initially, the idea of taking a week off to recharge filled him with guilt. However, after gravitating toward guilt awareness, he decided to honor his feelings and prioritize self-care. During his week off, he reunited with his passions, resulting in renewed energy and enthusiasm. Upon returning to volunteering, Noah found himself more engaged and inspired, able to contribute meaningfully to the causes he believed in. This case highlights the importance of confronting guilt. What seemed like selfishness ultimately led to a more profound commitment to his community. As you embark on this journey of silencing guilt, keep in mind that the road may be fraught with challenges. Change requires persistence, as old habits can resurface unbidden. But with deliberate practice and awareness, those once familiar whispers of guilt can transform into powerful affirmations of self-worth. In the next lesson, we will explore the essential yet often challenging skill of setting boundaries without feeling selfish. This step will fortify your journey to unapologetic living. Stay engaged. Your thoughts and experiences matter, and I encourage you to share them. Your feedback helps shape this community as we navigate the path to authentic living together. Lesson 3. Set boundaries without feeling selfish. The ability to set boundaries is both an art and a necessity, yet many find themselves haunted by the persistent belief that asserting their needs is inherently selfish. This misconception can lead to feelings of anxiety, resentment, and ultimately burnout, as we sacrifice our well-being in favor of pleasing others. The truth is that boundaries are not walls that isolate us from connection. Rather, they are vital constructs that define our personal space, allowing us to nurture our relationships more effectively. The challenge lies not only in learning how to establish these boundaries, but also in understanding the emotional and psychological barriers that prevent us from doing so. Psychologically, the reasons behind our reluctance to set boundaries often stem from deep-seated fears of rejection and disapproval. Many individuals grow up internalizing messages that prioritize the needs of others, creating a belief that one's self-worth is tied to being accommodating. Over time, this conditioning fosters a dangerous cycle in which the fear of disappointing others eclipses one's own emotional needs. This fear can manifest as social anxiety, causing individuals to stay silent when they should speak up or agree to obligations that lead to feelings of overwhelm. When a person operates from this mindset, they inadvertently relinquish their power, rendering themselves vulnerable in relationships. Consider the scenario of David, a team leader who continuously finds himself overwhelmed by his workload. Despite his innate leadership skills, David struggles to decline additional projects that exceed his capacity. Each time a colleague approaches him with a new request, he feels compelled to comply, fearing that saying no may jeopardize team dynamics or diminish his value within the organization. The guilt associated with prioritizing his own needs becomes paralyzing, pushing him into a corner where he ultimately sacrifices his health and productivity. David's story is a common reflection of how fear can inhibit individuals from asserting boundaries, leaving them feeling trapped in a cycle of self-neglect. More often than not, these boundaries are not made clear in relationships, leading to misunderstandings and resentment. Imagine a friendship where one person consistently oversteps, assuming that their needs take precedence. This dynamic can sow discord, as the person whose boundaries are violated becomes increasingly frustrated, yet finds it difficult to communicate their discomfort. The hidden truth is that failing to set boundaries can erode relationships, creating distance rather than nurturing connection. When your needs are dismissed or go unacknowledged, it becomes impossible to foster authentic relationships built on mutual respect. The challenge lies in recognizing that setting boundaries is an act of self-love and preservation, rather than an act of selfishness. Understanding this distinction allows you to redefine your approach, viewing boundaries not as barriers, but as a necessary foundation for healthy relationships. As you embark on the journey of establishing your boundaries, it is vital to confront the ingrained beliefs that may surface. Acknowledging and challenging these beliefs will empower you to step into your own needs unapologetically, fostering a newfound sense of authenticity in your interactions. As we break down these psychological barriers surrounding boundaries, it becomes critical to understand that the fear of losing connections should not inhibit the practice of self-care. Setting boundaries allows you to engage more fully and authentically with those around you, creating space for growth and connection. The journey to assertive boundary setting may be fraught with discomfort, but the rewards are immeasurable. In the next lesson, we will explore how to navigate these boundaries and break free from perpetual people-pleasing, a critical step on your path to unapologetic living. Remember, your insights and thoughts are invaluable. Share your experiences so we can continue this transformative journey together. Recognizing and halting behaviors that allow others to overstep your boundaries begins with self-reflection. Pay attention to your emotional state when you feel drained, overwhelmed, or resentful. Often these feelings signal that boundaries have been violated or ignored. Keep a journal to document moments when you felt pressured to accommodate others at the expense of your own needs. This practice will help illuminate patterns in your interactions, enabling you to pinpoint when and why you struggle to assert your limits. Being conscious of these dynamics lays the groundwork for meaningful change. A vital mindset shift is to understand that boundaries are not just about saying no. They are also about saying yes to yourself. When you establish a boundary, you are essentially reinforcing your commitment to your well-being and growth. This perspective reframes boundary setting as a proactive process rather than a defensive one. Psychological research indicates that individuals who maintain clear boundaries experience less stress and greater life satisfaction. Embracing the belief that your needs are just as important as others' needs cultivates a sense of empowerment that permeates all areas of your life. To make these shifts actionable, try the boundary visualization exercise. Set aside quiet time to envision how you want your life and relationships to look. Picture instances where you assert your needs with confidence. Replay these scenarios in your mind and notice how it feels to communicate your boundaries clearly. By visualizing success in enforcing boundaries, you can reduce the anxiety associated with these conversations, preparing yourself for real-world applications. Another effective exercise is to practice assertive communication. Role-play scenarios with a trusted friend where you express your needs and set boundaries. For instance, if a colleague frequently interrupts you during meetings, practice saying, "I'd appreciate if we could all share our thoughts without interruptions." This approach not only helps you rehearse the conversation, but also cultivates a sense of confidence that can translate into real-life interactions. Remember that assertiveness is a skill that can be developed over time. Real-life case studies elucidate the profound impact that setting boundaries can have on one's life. Take the story of Clara, a marketing executive who was continually overwhelmed by her workload. Clara's inability to say no to additional projects came from her belief that refusing would lead to negative judgments by her peers. However, after engaging in self-reflection and adopting boundary-setting practices, Clara learned to communicate her limits effectively. By asserting her needs, she found that not only did her stress diminish, but her colleagues respected her more. Clara's experience illustrates the potential for boundaries to catalyze healthier dynamics in professional relationships. As you embark on this journey toward establishing boundaries, embrace the understanding that this path is a crucial aspect of self-definition and well-being. Recognizing your own worth and asserting your needs contributes to healthier interactions and fosters mutual respect. In the upcoming lesson, we will delve into the damaging cycle of people-pleasing and how to break free from it, a vital step in embracing your unapologetic self. Your thoughts and insights matter. Share your experiences and feedback, as your contributions help cultivate a community of growth and support as we navigate this transformative journey together. Lesson 4. Break free from people-pleasing patterns. People-pleasing is often romanticized as a noble trait, yet it can secretly sabotage your happiness and sense of self. The relentless pursuit of others' approval often leads to a disconcerting realization. You may become a mere shadow of your true self, endlessly molding your actions and opinions to fit what you believe others want to see. This compulsion to please others can feel like a slippery slope, where each compromise chips away at your identity, leaving you feeling lost and unfulfilled. To break free from this cycle, it is essential to understand the psychological underpinnings that fuel your need for validation through others' approval. At its core, the tendency to please others often originates from deep-rooted insecurities and a fear of abandonment. Many individuals grow up internalizing the belief that love and acceptance are conditional. This conditioning fosters a disconnect between their genuine desires and the need to be likable, leading them to prioritize others' feelings over their own. Psychologically, this manifests as anxiety in social situations. When faced with the prospect of disappointing someone, the fear of rejection amplifies, trapping individuals in a cycle of accommodating behavior. Take the example of Lily, a devoted friend who is always the first to lend a helping hand. While her generosity is laudable, it often comes at the expense of her well-being. On a particular occasion, Lily agreed to help a friend move, despite having plans to attend a family event that she desperately wanted to be part of. In her mind, the thought of not helping was unbearable. If she declined, she feared her friend would think less of her. Instead of aligning her choices with her desires, she relegated her needs to the backdrop, perpetuating a sense of guilt that gnawed at her. Lily's experience illustrates a common scenario where individuals become trapped in people-pleasing patterns, sacrificing joy and authenticity for the sake of others' approval. In various social settings, this dynamic plays out repeatedly. Picture yourself in a situation where you feel pressured to laugh at a joke you find inappropriate or agree with an opinion you genuinely disagree with, simply to keep the peace. The heart of people-pleasing lies in the belief that your value is tied to the approval of others, dictating your responses in ways that disconnect you from your true self. These moments may feel innocuous in the moment, yet over time, they can lead to feelings of resentment and frustration toward yourself and those around you. The hidden truth is that people-pleasing often stems from an unrecognized promise made to ourselves, that only through appeasing others can we earn love and acceptance. This promise, while seemingly protective, can create a facade that obscures our authentic selves. It is essential to recognize that while trying to make others happy is a natural inclination, neglecting your own needs in the process ultimately leads to discontent and disconnection. Understanding these emotional and psychological drivers is the first step toward breaking free from people-pleasing patterns. By shining a light on these hidden truths, you can begin to dismantle the belief systems that chain you to others' expectations. The journey to embrace your authentic self may feel daunting, but it is a worthwhile pursuit that will lead to more fulfilling and genuine relationships. In the next lesson, we will explore the skills necessary to stop seeking validation and approval from others, enabling you to step fully into your power. Remember, your thoughts are invaluable. Share your experiences and reflections as we continue this path toward unapologetic living. Breaking free from ingrained people-pleasing patterns requires both recognition of the behavior and decisive action to alter it. Begin by tuning into your emotions in social situations. When you find yourself preparing to accommodate someone's requests or opinions, pause and assess your genuine feelings. Are you truly willing to comply, or do you feel an internal pressure to please? Keep a feelings journal during this transitional phase to track moments when you felt compelled to prioritize others over yourself. Make note of the circumstances surrounding these episodes, which will help you identify triggers and patterns that lead to people-pleasing behavior. A significant mindset shift is to cultivate the belief that your needs are just as important as others. Recognize that setting boundaries and prioritizing self-care does not equate to being selfish. Rather, it is an act of self-respect. Research in psychology highlights that individuals who honor their own needs tend to exhibit healthier relationships because they engage from a place of authenticity rather than obligation. By internalizing this perspective, you can start to distance yourself from the fear of disapproval that often drives people-pleasing tendencies. To implement these changes actively, consider the assertiveness challenge. In this exercise, identify a low-stakes situation where you typically yield to others' preferences, such as agreeing to a restaurant choice you don't favor. Instead, practice asserting your desires. The next time a similar situation arises, express your preference confidently, framing it as a legitimate request. For instance, you might say, "I'd love to try Italian food tonight. How does that sound to everyone?" This simple shift allows you to validate your needs without alienating others, fostering an atmosphere where everyone can express their preferences. Another effective technique is cultivating the pause and reflect response. When faced with a request, instead of responding immediately, take a moment to consider how fulfilling it aligns with your needs. This pause gives you the mental space required to assess your feelings without the immediate pressure to please. For example, if a colleague asks for help with a project, pause and think about your current workload and personal priorities before committing. Practicing this response consistently will reinforce your growing commitment to honoring your own needs. Real-life examples further underscore the power of these strategies. Take the story of Josh, a devoted employee who struggled with people-pleasing tendencies. Constantly saying yes to projects beyond his capacity, Josh found his health declining and his enthusiasm for work fading. After attending a workshop on assertiveness, he began employing the pause and reflect technique. The next time he was approached to take on an additional project, he took a moment to consider his current responsibilities. Instead of acquiescing, he expressed his current workload and suggested collaborating on a longer timeline. The result? Not only did Josh preserve his well-being, but he also gained respect from his colleagues for being honest about his capacity. As you delve deeper into breaking free from people-pleasing patterns, remember that this process requires patience and practice. The journey to reclaim your authentic self involves learning to prioritize your desires, fortified by an understanding that doing so enriches your relationships. In the next lesson, we will explore the fundamental shift away from seeking validation and approval, allowing you to embrace your self-worth unapologetically. Your insights are crucial. Please share your experiences and thoughts as we continue this transformative journey together. Lesson 5. Stop seeking approval and validation. In the quest for belonging and acceptance, many individuals unknowingly surrender their authenticity in exchange for approval. This deep-seated desire for external validation can be likened to a mirage. The more you chase it, the farther away it seems. It is a fleeting sense of worth, often contingent upon others' opinions, leaving you feeling empty and discontented. The hidden truth is that when you continuously seek external approval, you may sacrifice your true identity, conforming to the expectations of others rather than honoring your own values and desires. Understanding this dynamic is crucial for reclaiming your self-worth and embracing your true self. Psychologically, the need for validation often stems from experiences in early development. Many individuals grow up conditioned to believe that their worth is linked to how others perceive them. This belief can create a dependence on external feedback to gauge self-acceptance. When individuals receive praise, they feel validated. However, when criticism arises, it can lead to deep feelings of inadequacy. This emotional roller coaster perpetuates a cycle where self-esteem becomes tied solely to outside approval, making it difficult to cultivate a stable sense of worthiness from within. Consider the example of Mia, a high-achieving student who tirelessly seeks validation from her teachers and peers. In her mind, every accolade and compliment fuels her self-esteem. However, when she receives constructive criticism, her entire sense of self-worth plummets, leaving her feeling defeated. Mia's experience highlights a common pitfall. The reliance on external validation can create a volatile sense of self, where success is celebrated, but failure feels catastrophic. This cycle not only affects her academic performance but also her mental health, illustrating the potential dangers of seeking approval as a measure of self-worth. Daily interactions often reinforce these patterns. For instance, many people will share their accomplishments on social media, eagerly awaiting likes and comments as a gauge of validation. A single negative comment can shatter the facade, leading to feelings of inadequacy or rejection. These behaviors create a conditional sense of self-worth reliant on social feedback, steering you away from authentic self-acceptance. The underlying danger is becoming so enveloped in this cycle that you lose touch with your intrinsic values and desires, leading to a continuous pursuit of others' approval rather than following your own path. The sobering truth about seeking validation is that it frequently leads to conforming to expectations that may not align with your true self. When you become overly focused on what others think, you risk stifling your passions and individuality. The path to fulfillment cannot be paved by others, it must originate from within. It is vital to begin to recognize that your value as a person is not contingent upon external opinions, but inherent in your unique qualities and experiences. As you explore the motivations behind your need for approval, begin to dismantle these ingrained beliefs. Acknowledge the reality that your worth is innate and not conditional upon the validation of others. It's time to create a foundation of self-acceptance that empowers you to honor your true self. This journey will guide you toward deeper connections with others, rooted in mutual respect and authenticity rather than superficial approval. In the next lesson, we will delve into how to embrace self-worth on your own terms, setting the stage for a life unencumbered by the need for validation. Your reflections and stories are vital to this community. Please share them as we continue to grow and evolve together on this journey. Recognizing the behaviors tied to seeking validation is essential in reclaiming your sense of self-worth. Start by observing your thoughts and feelings in situations where you typically rely on external approval. When faced with a decision, do you instinctively seek others' opinions before forming your own? Take note when you feel anxious about how others might perceive you, especially in social settings or during conversations. Keeping a daily journal to track these realizations can be an effective tool for gaining deeper insight into your patterns. Over time, you will notice situations that trigger your desire for validation, affording you the awareness necessary to alter these behaviors. A powerful mindset shift involves reframing failure as a learning opportunity rather than a reflection of your worth. Embrace the idea that your value exists independently of external judgments. Research indicates that individuals who foster a growth mindset, seeing abilities as improvable traits rather than fixed qualities, experience greater resilience in the face of setbacks. Gaining an understanding that mistakes are part of your journey can help alleviate the crippling fear of disapproval. By internalizing this perspective, you can begin to detach your self-esteem from the reactions you receive from others. To make these shifts practical, engage in the validation reflection exercise. After significant interactions, reflect on how you felt before, during, and after the exchange. Did you feel the urge to seek approval? What coping mechanisms did you employ in those moments? Analyze whether your responses stemmed from a genuine desire to connect or a fear of rejection. This exercise fosters self-awareness, enabling you to recognize moments of vulnerability that may trigger validation-seeking behavior. Additionally, consider setting achievable personal goals that are not contingent on others' perceptions, helping you cultivate a sense of accomplishment that is self-defined. Real-life case studies provide compelling evidence of the transformative impact of reducing the need for validation. Consider the story of Ethan, a talented musician who had always sought approval from his family and friends before performing. Every time he played, the fear of criticism loomed over him. After embarking on a journey of self-discovery, he began focusing on the joy of his art rather than external validation. He performed at an open mic night with the goal of embracing the experience for himself, rather than seeking applause. The result? Ethan felt liberated, his performance infused with authenticity, and the audience responded positively, not because he was seeking their approval, but because he was genuinely enjoying the music. His experience underscores how freeing oneself from the expectation of validation can unleash your true talent and passion. As you work on reframing your relationship with approval, remember that the effort to break free from these patterns takes time and requires patience. Acknowledge the discomfort that accompanies this transition. It is an integral part of growth. In the upcoming lesson, we will shift focus toward cultivating self-worth on your terms, providing the tools necessary to embrace who you are without the crutch of external validation. Your contributions and reflections are invaluable to this journey. Please engage with your thoughts and experiences as we navigate the path toward unapologetic living together. Lesson 6. Release the fear of disappointing others. Fear of disappointing others can feel like a heavy burden, shackling you to the expectations that others impose. This fear often creates a conflict within, pitting your true desires against what you believe is necessary for acceptance and approval. The insidious nature of this fear can lead to a life dictated by others, where every choice is filtered through the lens of potential disappointment. The harsh reality is that this fear not only stifles your personal growth, but also obscures your authentic self, locking you in a cycle of compliance, rather than allowing you to embrace your true desires. Physiologically, The fear of disappointing others can stem from early experiences where love and acceptance were conditional. Many individuals grow up believing that their worth is tied to how well they meet others' expectations, leading to anxiety in situations where they must express their wants or needs. This creates an internal dialogue steeped in obligation, often resulting in a pervasive fear that saying no or prioritizing oneself will lead to rejection or conflict. This underlying anxiety can manifest as a heightened state of stress and worry, which can over time erode mental well-being and leave individuals feeling trapped. Take Lisa, for example, a young professional who feels compelled to accept every work assignment that crosses her desk. Despite juggling multiple tasks, she often says yes to additional responsibilities out of fear that her supervisor might view her as unreliable if she declines. Each time she acquiesces, she feels increasingly overwhelmed, yet the thought of disappointing her boss looms larger in her mind. This is a common scenario where the fear of disappointing others leads to self-neglect, undermining one's capacity to perform effectively. Understanding the emotional impact of this fear is crucial to dismantling it. Often, the desire to please others overshadows our internal compass, leading us to tolerate situations that don't align with our values or aspirations. This disconnection from one's own desires can breed resentment and frustration, leaving individuals feeling isolated, even in their relationships. The hidden truth is that the fear of disappointing others ultimately disables authentic communication and connection, creating a facade of harmony that conceals underlying dissatisfaction. The key to releasing this fear lies in acknowledging that everyone is responsible for their own feelings. Your choices should be guided by your values and desires, rather than the anticipation of how others may react. This realization is liberating. It allows you to shift your focus from the fear of disappointing others to understanding that disappointing someone does not equate to being a bad person or failing them. It is often helpful to remember that others have their own emotional frameworks and can handle disappointment in their own ways. As you navigate through this process, take time to reflect on your fears and desires. When faced with a choice, ask yourself if your decision is being driven by your needs or by the fear of others' reactions. Learning to embrace the discomfort of disappointing others is a vital part of personal growth, as it opens the door to authenticity and self-acceptance. In the next lesson, we will explore strategies to say no with confidence and ease, empowering you to prioritize your needs without guilt. Your experiences and insights matter, so don't hesitate to share them as we continue this journey toward unapologetic living together. To effectively recognize and halt the behavior driven by the fear of disappointing others, start by cultivating self-awareness in your interactions. Pay attention to the moments when you feel compelled to say yes, even if it contradicts your preferences or needs. When faced with a request, pause and assess your emotional response. Are you feeling pressure or anxiety about saying no? Keeping a reflection journal can help track these instances, allowing you to identify patterns in your behavior that stem from this underlying fear. Recording your thoughts and feelings during such moments provides valuable insight to help you understand the triggers that lead to compliance. A crucial mindset shift involves reframing the idea of disappointment as a natural part of relationships. Accept that it's impossible to please everyone all the time. This shift is vital for personal growth, as it helps to dismantle the belief that you are responsible for others' feelings. Embracing the notion that disappointment can serve as an opportunity for growth or communication is empowering. Psychological research highlights that individuals who adopt a healthier perspective about disappointment report better emotional resilience and less anxiety in interpersonal situations. Rather than viewing it as a catastrophic outcome, see it as a chance for both you and the other person to express needs and expectations openly. To translate this understanding into tangible action, engage in the assertion practice exercise. Identify a low-stakes situation where you typically yield to others out of fear of disappointing them, and practice asserting your preferences. For example, if friends suggest a movie that you're not interested in, take a moment to express your own desire more clearly. You might say, "I appreciate the invitation, but I would prefer to see something else. How about we decide on a different film?" This exercise builds the muscle of assertiveness, helping you recognize that expressing your needs can be done respectfully. With practice, you will develop confidence in asserting yourself without guilt or fear. Real-life examples can provide compelling illustrations of these concepts. Consider the journey of Tom, a dedicated volunteer coordinator who found himself overwhelmed by commitments to his community. He dreaded the thought of saying no to requests, fearing he would disappoint fellow volunteers or community members. After recognizing the toll this fear took on his well-being, Tom decided to implement a new strategy. He began by prioritizing his existing commitments while leaving space to assess new requests carefully. One day, when asked to lead an additional event, he calmly stated, "I'm currently committed to a few projects, so I won't be able to take this on." To his surprise, the individuals involved appreciated his clarity and respected his boundaries, leading to healthier interactions. As you delve into the process of releasing the fear of disappointing others, remember that it requires time and practice. Embrace the discomfort that might arise when asserting your needs as a sign of growth rather than failure. In the upcoming lesson, we will focus on how to say no with confidence and ease, equipping you with essential tools to maintain your boundaries without feeling guilt. Your experiences matter. Please share your thoughts and insights as we navigate this empowering journey toward unapologetic living together. Lesson 7. Say no with confidence and ease. The ability to say no is a profound skill that many people struggle to master, yet it is an essential component of self-empowerment. Saying no allows you to preserve your energy, time, and mental well-being, all of which can be easily depleted when you overcommit to others. The hidden truth is that the reluctance to decline requests often stems from a blend of fear. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, and fear of disappointing others. This fear can create a cycle where personal desires and needs take a backseat to a compulsive need for approval. Psychologically, the barriers to saying no are often tied to early conditioning. Many individuals learn from a young age that being accommodating is synonymous with being a good person. As a result, the mere thought of turning someone down can evoke feelings of guilt or anxiety. This deep-seated conditioning can lead to a harsh internal dialogue where words like selfish and uncaring echo in your mind, making it challenging to assert your boundaries effectively. Emotional triggers come into play, causing physiological responses such as increased heart rate and a sense of panic when faced with the need to decline a request. Consider the example of Rachel, who is often seen as the go-to person among friends for help and support. Despite her busy schedule, she regularly feels compelled to say yes to every invitation or request. When her best friend asks for help preparing for a birthday party on the same night she had planned to unwind at home, Rachel hesitates. The internal conflict arises. If I say no, will she think I don't care? In this instance, Rachel's struggle embodies a common scenario. The fear of letting others down often overrides personal needs, leading to burnout and resentment over time. In social dynamics, this phenomenon plays out regularly. Picture a work setting where colleagues frequently seek your assistance on projects. While helping others is noble, saying yes to every request can compromise your productivity. The fear of disappointing others or being perceived as unhelpful can lead to an avalanche of commitments that ultimately overwhelms you. The hidden truth is that consistently neglecting your own boundaries for the sake of others can foster a toxic environment, not only for you, but for those around you as well. It is essential to recognize that the ability to say no can enhance rather than diminish relationships. When you assert your boundaries respectfully, you foster authentic connections built on mutual understanding rather than obligation. People who value you will ultimately appreciate your honesty and respect your decisions, as it allows for clearer and more transparent interactions. This realization empowers you to replace feelings of guilt with confidence as you learn to prioritize your own needs. As you embark on this journey of learning to say no, start by acknowledging that you have the right to make choices that benefit your well-being. In the next lesson, we will explore practical strategies for saying no gracefully and with confidence, arming you with the tools to maintain your boundaries without unnecessary guilt. Your reflections are essential to this process, so please feel encouraged to share your insights and experiences as we continue to navigate the path of unapologetic living together. Recognizing the need to say no often begins with heightened self-awareness during decision-making moments. When someone asks for a favor or an invitation arises, take a moment to assess your immediate emotional response. Are you feeling anxious about disappointing the other person? Do you have a sense of obligation, even when your own desires conflict? Keeping a decision-making journal can be invaluable in tracking these instances, noting when you felt pressure to comply versus when you chose to assert your boundaries. This practice will help you identify patterns and triggers, ultimately clarifying the nuanced dynamics at play when you feel compelled to say yes. A significant mindset shift involves learning to view saying no as an assertion of your values rather than an act of rejection. It is important to understand that your time and energy are finite resources, and prioritizing them is not only necessary for your well-being, but also beneficial for your relationships. Psychological research underscores that individuals who set healthy boundaries tend to experience lower stress levels and greater satisfaction in their personal interactions. This understanding can dismantle the guilt associated with saying no, empowering you to see it as an essential part of self-care rather than a failure to meet expectations. To translate these insights into real-world behavior, consider practicing the no affirmation exercise. When faced with a request, practice stating a simple, affirming response, even if it feels challenging at first. For example, rehearse responses such as, "I appreciate the offer, but I have other commitments," or "Thank you for thinking of me, but I need to focus on my own needs right now." By rehearsing these phrases, you can build confidence in asserting your decisions. Start small by applying this practice in low-stakes situations, such as declining invitations to social events that don't interest you. Real-life case studies illustrate the pivotal change that mastery of saying no can bring. Take the case of Zoe, a project manager who found herself increasingly overwhelmed by taking on projects for coworkers. Each time she agreed to help, she felt the burden of both her responsibilities and the anxiety of disappointing others. After attending a workshop on boundary setting, Zoe began applying the strategies discussed. When a coworker approached her with an additional project, instead of defaulting to yes, she used her rehearsal. "I am currently at full capacity and can't take on more work right now." To her surprise, the response was met with understanding, solidifying her confidence and affirming her right to say no. As you navigate the process of learning to say no, remember that discomfort may arise initially, but this is part of the growth process. Each time you stand firm in your decision, you reinforce your ability to prioritize your needs and desires. In the next lesson, we will explore how to redefine self-worth on your terms, allowing you to embrace your unique identity without being tethered to external judgments. Your thoughts and experiences are crucial as we pursue this journey together. Please share your reflections, and let's continue this empowering dialogue on the path to unapologetic living. Lesson 8. Redefine self-worth on your terms. We often anchor our self-worth to external metrics, career success, social acceptance, or even fiscal achievement. However, true self-worth is not determined by these fleeting accolades. It must originate from within. This journey to redefine self-worth on your terms sheds light on the hidden truths that fuel our perception of value. The realization is profound. When you allow external factors to dictate your sense of worth, you simultaneously hand over your power, rendering your happiness contingent upon others' opinions and societal standards. The hidden truth here is that reclaiming your self-worth is essential for living authentically and embracing who you are without compromise. Psychologically, the quest for validation often leads individuals to tie their self-esteem to approval from peers, family, or societal ideals. This mindset can develop from early experiences where love and recognition were conditional upon achievement. As children, we learn to gauge our desirability based on how well we please others, setting up a lifelong pattern of seeking affirmation outside ourselves. This leaves an emotional landscape where disappointment in our endeavors feels catastrophic, leading to an ongoing cycle of anxiety and unfulfillment over time. Consider the experience of Alex, who worked exceptionally hard to climb the corporate ladder. Despite years of dedication, he found himself continuously measuring his worth against the recognition he received from his superiors. Each promotion felt hollow unless it was met with a specific approval from high-ranking colleagues. When passed over for a promotion he had hoped for, Alex experienced an existential crisis, convinced that his value was diminished. His circumstances illustrate a pervasive dilemma. When self-worth is conditional upon external validation, setbacks feel like personal failures that erode not only confidence, but also overall emotional well-being. In daily life, we perpetuate this cycle through our interactions. Think of moments where you bite your tongue to avoid conflict, or make decisions that don't resonate with your true desires, simply to confer approval from others. These behaviors serve as clear indicators that your self-worth is being dictated by external expectations. It becomes crucial to uncover the emotional patterns that reinforce a conditional sense of self-acceptance. The unrecognized truth is that when you relinquish your self-worth to the opinions of others, you risk losing sight of your own values and identity. Redefining your self-worth on your terms requires a strategic and deliberate approach. It begins with dismantling the belief that your value is contingent upon the approval of others. Journaling can be an effective strategy in this introspective process. Write down your intrinsic qualities, past achievements, and personal values. Reflect on moments when you felt proud of yourself that had nothing to do with external validation. This practice helps cultivate an internal compass that guides your sense of worth, anchored in who you are, rather than what others perceive you to be. As you begin to understand and embrace your intrinsic worth, recognize that this transformation takes time and consistent effort. By cultivating self-acceptance and highlighting the qualities that make you unique, you will gradually reclaim your self-worth and align it with your beliefs and aspirations. In the next lesson, we'll explore how trusting your needs and desires fully is key to living unapologetically. Embrace this journey, and don't hesitate to share your reflections and insights as we navigate the path to authentic self-value together. To effectively recognize and halt the behaviors tied to seeking external validation as a measure of self-worth, increasing self-awareness is essential. Begin by identifying moments in your daily life where you find yourself seeking approval or measuring your worth against the opinions of others. Notice the emotional triggers associated with these situations. For instance, are there specific comments or interactions that leave you feeling validated or unworthy? Keeping a reflection journal can be a valuable exercise. Document your thoughts and feelings when you experience fluctuations in self-worth based on external feedback. Over time, this practice will help you identify patterns and understand better why certain situations trigger feelings of inadequacy or validation. Another powerful strategy is to implement the self-worth affirmation exercise. Create a list of affirmations that express your value independent of external measures. These statements might include, "I am valuable for who I am, not what I achieve," or "My worth is inherent and does not depend on other people's opinions." Begin each day by reading these affirmations aloud to instill a mindset grounded in self-acceptance. Research in psychology supports the idea that repetitive affirmations can help reshape negative thought patterns, building a more robust sense of self that does not rely on external validation. A significant mindset shift for redefining self-worth is the understanding that everyone has weaknesses and strengths. Accepting your flaws as part of your humanity rather than viewing them negatively allows you to embrace a more holistic view of yourself. Acknowledge that everyone experiences setbacks and that these moments do not diminish your worth. This perspective alleviates the pressure to be perfect and enables you to cultivate self-compassion. Studies have shown that cultivating self-compassion results in greater emotional resilience and overall well-being, allowing for healthier relationships with others and, ultimately, with oneself. As you work on redefining your self-worth, real-life examples can serve as illuminating case studies. Consider Sarah, a talented graphic designer who constantly sought validation from her supervisor. For years, she equated her abilities with her boss's approval, leading to anxiety and burnout. After attending a workshop focused on intrinsic motivation, she began to shift her mindset. Instead of only seeking feedback from her supervisor, Sarah started seeking input from peers and collaborating on projects with more openness about her creative process. By embracing her talents without relying solely on her supervisor's approval, Sarah began to recognize her self-worth, independent of external feedback. Her work became more genuine, and she experienced increased satisfaction with her career. As you advance through this journey of redefining your self-worth, keep in mind that true validation must come from within. Acknowledge that the path to internal self-acceptance won't always be linear. There may be setbacks along the way. However, with consistency and self-compassion, you will cultivate a profound understanding of your intrinsic value. In the next lesson, we will explore the transformative power of trusting your needs and desires, taking further steps toward living unapologetically. Your insights are valuable. Please share your thoughts and reflections as we embark on this empowering journey together. Your engagement continues to shape our community and its growth. Lesson 9. Trust your needs and desires fully. In an age marked by relentless comparison and external influences, trusting your own needs and desires can feel like an act of radical authenticity. Many individuals are conditioned to believe that their preferences must align with those of others, leading to a reluctance to embrace their unique paths. This pervasive sense of mistrust in one's own desires can stifle personal growth and ultimately detract from a fulfilling life. The hidden truth is that the journey to self-trust is pivotal, not only for personal happiness, but also for fostering genuine connections with others. Psychologically, the tendency to seek validation often arises from early experiences in which individuals learn to prioritize the needs of caregivers or societal expectations over their own. This conditioning can create a deep-seated fear of disapproval or rejection, leading to a lack of confidence in one's choices. Emotions become tangled as individuals push aside their instincts in favor of what they perceive as the right decision, shaped by external opinions. This phenomenon can lead to chronic dissatisfaction, a sense of being trapped in a life that feels misaligned with one's true self. Take the example of David, a young professional who has always sought approval in his career choices. Despite his aspirations to become an artist, he pursued a more conventional path in finance due to his family's expectations. Each day, he felt a nagging sense of emptiness that stemmed from ignoring his true passion. Whenever the subject of career satisfaction arose in conversations with friends or family, David would downplay his dreams, suppressing his genuine feelings for fear of judgment. This internal conflict illustrates a common scenario where individuals fall into the trap of prioritizing external validation over their authentic needs and desires. In everyday interactions, this dynamic often presents itself in social settings. For example, consider a situation where friends plan an outing that doesn't resonate with you. Instead of expressing your own preference, you might choose to go along with the group to maintain harmony, neglecting your own desires in the process. This behavior, while seemingly harmless, reinforces the belief that your feelings are less important than those of others. Over time, this pattern can lead to resentment and a diminished sense of self, creating a disconnect between who you are and who you portray. The hidden truth is that trusting your own needs and desires fosters not only self-acceptance, but also deeper, more authentic relationships. When you begin honoring your instincts, you naturally attract connections that resonate with your genuine self, creating a reciprocity that enriches your life. Embracing your true preferences and vocalizing them can lead to more fulfilling experiences, enhancing both your personal growth and interpersonal dynamics. As you embark on this journey to fully trust your needs and desires, it's crucial to practice self-compassion and reflection. Acknowledging that it is okay to want different things and to prioritize your happiness is a liberating realization. In the next lesson, we will explore how embracing unapologetic living without regret can further strengthen your sense of self and authenticity. Your stories and insights are invaluable in this community. Please share your experiences as we navigate this transformative journey toward unapologetic self-trust together. To effectively recognize and halt the behaviors that prevent you from fully trusting your needs and desires, begin with a practice of mindfulness. Pay attention to your internal dialogue when faced with choices that require you to assert your preferences. Are you second-guessing yourself or weighing others' opinions more heavily than your own? Maintaining a feelings journal can be a valuable tool in this process. Document your thoughts and emotions when making decisions, especially in social situations. Over time, you will gain insight into your patterns of behavior and identify when you prioritize validation over your true desires. A crucial mindset shift involves reframing how you view your own needs as essential rather than selfish. Many individuals fear that expressing personal desires will be perceived as self-centered. However, understanding that your needs are valid and worthy of respect fosters a healthier relationship with yourself. Psychological research reveals that people who prioritize their own needs experience higher levels of life satisfaction and emotional well-being. By acknowledging that your happiness is intertwined with your ability to honor your desires, you can start to break free from the constraints of external validation. To translate this understanding into actionable behavior, engage in the desire exploration exercise. Start by setting aside time each week to reflect on your true desires and preferences. This can involve exploring aspects of your life where you frequently compromise your needs, such as social events, workload, or even personal relationships. Create a simple chart where you write down scenarios that have arisen in the past week and identify the needs or desires you either suppressed or articulated. This exercise allows you to visualize the areas of your life where you can assert your wishes more confidently. For example, consider the case of Maria, who often found herself agreeing to social plans that didn't genuinely interest her. After recognizing this pattern through her journal, she committed to practicing her assertiveness gradually. When her friends invited her to another concert, an event she was indifferent about, she paused, reflecting on her needs before responding. Instead of the usual compromise, Maria said, "I appreciate the invite, but I'd prefer to have a quiet evening at home instead." The positive response from her friends surprised her, reinforcing that open communication fosters acceptance rather than conflict. The journey to trust your needs and desires fully may require continuous effort, and it's essential to practice self-compassion during this transition. Understand that it's normal to encounter discomfort when you begin to assert yourself. Progress may be non-linear, but each step toward honoring your true desires enriches your understanding of self-worth. In the next lesson, we will examine how to embrace unapologetic living without regret, a significant step in further asserting your authentic self and cultivating a life aligned with your true values. Your insights and stories contribute meaningfully to our collective experience, so please feel encouraged to share your thoughts as we continue to navigate this transformative journey together. Your engagement is vital as we explore these themes, and your feedback helps shape a supportive community committed to unapologetic living. Lesson 10. Embrace unapologetic living without regret. Living unapologetically is about fully embracing who you are and making choices that resonate with your true self, free from the cloud of others' expectations. This way of life is not merely a choice, but a profound act of self-affirmation. However, many individuals find themselves encumbered by an overwhelming need to seek validation from others, leading to a life characterized by second-guessing and self-doubt. The hidden truth is that until you commit to living authentically, your desires will remain stifled, overshadowed by the relentless pursuit of approval from external sources. Psychologically, the need for validation can originate from early experiences where acceptance was tied to conformity. Many people grow up learning that to be loved and valued, they must meet the expectations of those around them. This conditioning fosters an emotional landscape riddled with anxiety. The fear of disappointing others can be paralyzing. As a result, individuals become entangled in a web of self-doubt, frequently questioning their choices and desires. This pattern not only erodes self-confidence, but also cultivates a mindset that prioritizes the approval of others over personal authenticity. Consider Sophie, a young woman who consistently chooses careers based on external perceptions rather than her own passions. Despite her dream of becoming a writer, she pursued a path in marketing because she feared judgment from her family, who deemed it impractical. Each time she attended a gathering and fielded questions about her career choice, she felt a wave of anxiety. It was as though her dreams and identity were reduced to mere conversation fodder. Eventually, this pressure culminated in dissatisfaction, and she found herself regretting the decision to ignore her true aspirations. Sophie's experience illustrates a common scenario in which the fear of disapproval stifles authentic self-expression, leading to a life filled with regrets. These behaviors manifest in our daily interactions as well. Think about the countless times you have agreed to plans or projects that do not excite you, simply to maintain peace or avoid disappointing others. By prioritizing acceptance over your own desires, you risk losing sight of who you are and what truly matters to you. The harsh reality is that this cycle of compliance can sap your energy, produce resentment, and ultimately leave you feeling unfulfilled. The essential secret to embracing unapologetic living lies in recognizing that others' opinions do not define your worth. Taking ownership of your desires and aspirations is a powerful act of self-love that fosters genuine connections and enriches your experiences. This journey entails making conscious choices that align with your intrinsic values, rather than succumbing to societal pressures. By leaning into your unique path, you invite a sense of freedom and authenticity that unlocks your potential. As you begin this transformative journey, it is imperative to understand that living unapologetically is not about dismissing others or being self-centered. Rather, it is about honoring your authenticity in a way that invites others to do the same. In the next lesson, we will explore practical strategies for cultivating a life filled with intentionality and authenticity, helping you further solidify the foundations of unapologetic living. Your stories and experiences are invaluable to this journey. Please share your thoughts, as your engagement can foster a rich community committed to living true to oneself. To effectively embrace unapologetic living, it is crucial to recognize when you fall into habitual behaviors that seek external validation. Start by honing your self-awareness. Pay close attention to situations where you feel compelled to seek approval, either through actions or by constantly seeking reassurance from others. Maintaining a daily reflection journal can be a supportive tool in tracking these moments. Record instances where you prioritized others' opinions or feelings over your own desires. Over time, you'll begin to identify patterns in your behavior and thoughts, helping you pinpoint when you've strayed from living authentically. A powerful mindset shift entails adopting the belief that your needs and desires are not only valid but essential to your well-being. It is vital to view your needs as integral pieces of your identity rather than afterthoughts. Psychological research underscores that individuals who prioritize their own well-being report higher levels of happiness compared to those who consistently seek approval from others. Embracing the truth that your desires matter as much as anyone else's breaks the cycle of compliance and allows you to reclaim your autonomy. One actionable exercise is the Authenticity Journal Project. Set aside dedicated time each week to reflect on your personal values, needs, and desires. Begin by listing what truly matters to you in different areas of your life: career, relationships, health, and personal hobbies. After determining your core values, make a conscious effort to align your actions with these principles. For instance, if personal creativity is a significant value for you, ensure that you set time aside each week to engage in activities that ignite that passion, such as writing or painting. This exercise reinforces the habit of prioritizing your own preferences. Real-life case studies can offer further clarity on the benefits of living unapologetically. Consider the journey of Brian, who felt trapped in a career that did not resonate with him. Despite societal pressure to remain in a stable role, he spent years yearning to start his own business. After reflective journaling and discussing his aspirations with trusted friends, Brian decided to take the leap. Embracing the uncertainty was daunting, but recognizing that his happiness came from pursuing his passion led him to create a thriving business that reflected his true self. Not only did his confidence grow, but he also established deeper relationships based on shared interests and values rather than obligations. Remember, the path to living unapologetically involves patience and consistent effort. It may take time to unlearn behaviors deeply embedded in seeking validation, but the journey is worth every step. By embracing your authentic self, you encourage others to do the same, cultivating a community that values truth and freedom. In the next lesson, we will explore how to protect your energy and emotional well-being, essential skills that complement the practice of unapologetic living. Your thoughts and experiences are valuable. I encourage you to share your reflections with us as we continue this empowering journey together. Your engagement plays a vital role in fostering a vibrant community dedicated to embracing authenticity. Lesson 11. Protect your energy and emotional well-being. In a world that often demands more than we can give, the ability to protect your energy becomes paramount. Many individuals find themselves drained, overwhelmed, and emotionally depleted by the constant influx of demands from others. This exhaustion stems from an ingrained habit of seeking validation, which can lead to an unbalanced exchange of energy. The hidden truth is that learning to safeguard your emotional well-being is not just a personal victory, it's a crucial step towards maintaining authenticity and living unapologetically. Psychologically, the desire for validation often compels us to invest our energy in pleasing others at the expense of our own needs. This unhealthy dynamic can create what psychologists refer to as emotional draining, where individuals become so focused on fulfilling the expectations of those around them that they neglect their own mental and emotional health. This phenomenon can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and ultimately burnout. The cycle of seeking validation drains your energy and skews your perception of self-worth, reinforcing the notion that your value lies solely in how effectively you meet others' requirements. Consider the experience of Mark, a dedicated caregiver who continually puts others' needs ahead of his own, believing that this is his role in relationships. He often finds himself feeling obligated to assist friends, family, and colleagues, even when he's exhausted. In moments of neglecting his own self-care, he begins to feel resentment, but the fear of disappointing loved ones prevents him from asserting his boundaries. This internal battle exemplifies a common scenario. Carrying the weight of others' expectations leads to both emotional depletion and a sense of loss regarding one's own identity. In everyday situations, the need to protect your energy is crucial, yet often overlooked. Picture a workplace where colleagues always seek your help, leaving you little time to focus on your responsibilities. The fear of disappointing them, coupled with the desire for approval, may compel you to agree to serve on every committee or take on extra projects. This chronic compliance not only jeopardizes your workload, but can also lead to a growing sense of resentment and frustration, making it difficult to find joy in your accomplishments or personal life. Understanding these psychological traps reveals a crucial truth. Protecting your energy is an act of self-respect and self-care. It invites you to consider the idea that boundaries are essential for sustaining healthy relationships, and you have the right to allocate your energy where it is valued and reciprocated. This shift in perspective underscores the importance of self-awareness and the need to evaluate your emotional investments regularly. As you embark on this journey, take time to reflect on the relationships and activities that drain your energy versus those that replenish it. Engage in self-care practices that restore your emotional balance, whether through mindfulness, exercise, or spending time in nature. These practices serve as powerful reminders of your inherent worth and help you recenter your energy. In this lesson's next segment, we will explore practical strategies to set and maintain boundaries while effectively managing your emotional well-being. By doing so, you will build a scaffold that empowers you to live unapologetically and protect your energy. Please feel encouraged to share your thoughts and experiences. Your engagement further enriches this community as we continue our journey toward authentic living together. To effectively protect your energy and emotional well-being, the first step is to develop acute self-awareness. Start by observing how you feel in different scenarios, particularly when interacting with others. Are there specific people or situations that leave you feeling drained? By recognizing these patterns, you can begin to identify what drains your energy and why. Keeping a journal dedicated to your emotional responses can help in this process. Document your daily interactions, noting the moments when you felt overextended or depleted. Over time, this practice will reveal the contexts and relationships that require reevaluation. A critical mindset shift involves redefining what it means to be selfish. Society often perpetuates the notion that prioritizing your needs over others is inherently negative. Instead, embrace the understanding that safeguarding your emotional well-being enables you to show up fully for others. Psychological research consistently highlights that those who maintain healthy boundaries tend to have more satisfying relationships and report higher levels of happiness. By viewing self-care as a priority rather than a luxury, you empower yourself to take control of your emotional landscape. To translate these insights into practice, engage in the energy audit exercise. This involves tracking your daily activities and relationships over the course of a week. For each interaction, note how it impacts your emotional state. Are you energized, neutral, or drained after an encounter? Once you gather this data, categorize your interactions into 4 groups: energizing, neutral, depleting, and toxic. After identifying these patterns, create a strategy to minimize time spent engaging in depleting or toxic interactions. Consider setting clear intentions for your engagement with individuals who usually drain your energy, giving yourself permission to limit contact or to say no to certain requests. Real-life case studies further illustrate the power of protecting your energy. Take the case of Lisa, a nurse who found herself increasingly fatigued due to constant demands from both her colleagues and patients. Feeling obligated to stay late to help others at the cost of her own health, she began to experience burnout. After participating in a workshop on emotional resilience, Lisa started implementing the energy audit. Recognizing a pattern of feeling depleted after certain shifts, she began to communicate her need for balance with her manager. By advocating for herself, she was able to negotiate a more manageable schedule, leading to improved job satisfaction and overall well-being. Understanding that you have the right to prioritize your emotional needs is essential for protecting your well-being. As you navigate this process, recognize that it's okay to put your health and happiness first. The journey to establishing boundaries will require courage and commitment, but it ultimately leads to richer, more fulfilling relationships and a more authentic life. In the next lesson, we will explore ways to step into your power guilt-free, harnessing the tools you've developed so far to embrace your true self with confidence. Your insights matter, and I encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences as we continue to grow in this journey together. Your engagement enriches this collective experience, fostering a supportive community committed to living authentically. Lesson 12. Step into your power, guilt-free. Stepping into your power means embracing who you are and making choices that align with your true self, without being weighed down by guilt or the need for external approval. This process is vital for anyone on the journey to unapologetic living, as it allows you to reclaim your identity and your voice. However, many individuals find it challenging to disassociate their sense of power from the approval of others, leading to a continuous cycle of self-doubt and guilt. The hidden truth is that to empower yourself, you must first let go of the societal conditioning that binds you to others' perceptions of worth and success. Psychologically, the need for validation is deeply rooted in early experiences where love and acceptance were often contingent upon meeting specific expectations. This conditioning fosters a mindset that equates power with approval, creating an internal struggle where individuals feel compelled to seek affirmation before making decisions. This process of validation seeking can generate feelings of anxiety, as every choice becomes a reflection of how one perceives others' approval. The emotional fallout often manifests as guilt, leaving many stuck in a loop where their desires are suppressed in favor of satisfying those around them. Take, for instance, the case of Emma, a talented entrepreneur who continually seeks her friends' and family's approval when making business decisions. Despite having a clear vision for her brand, she frequently hesitates to launch new products or initiatives without consensus from her inner circle. The fear of disappointing those she values, combined with the pressure to conform to their expectations, causes her to delay important projects. Emma's experience reflects a common scenario where the paralysis of indecision stems directly from the need to seek validation from others, ultimately hindering her growth and progress. Everyday interactions further exemplify how this pattern operates. Think about those moments when you suppress your opinions during discussions simply to avoid conflict or validation-seeking behaviors that leave you agreeing with others despite having reservations. You might feel guilty asserting yourself too strongly, fearing it could upset the balance in your relationships. This fear of rocking the boat can prevent you from expressing your authentic opinions and desires, reinforcing the idea that stepping into your power means stepping on the toes of others. The journey towards stepping into your power, guilt-free, begins with the recognition that your voice and choices are legitimate. This requires a deliberate shift in mindset, understanding that your worth is not defined by the approval of others. Instead, embrace the principle that your authenticity enriches your relationships and fosters genuine connections. Research indicates that individuals who assert their autonomy and express their desires experience higher levels of emotional well-being and satisfaction in their lives. As you embark on this transformative journey, consider engaging in the power affirmation exercise. Begin each day by stating affirmations that reinforce your right to express yourself fully, such as, "I am deserving of my own voice," or "My opinions and desires matter just as much as anyone else's." Incorporate this practice into your daily routine to cultivate an empowering mindset that encourages you to step boldly into your authentic self. In the next part of this lesson, we will explore actionable strategies to integrate this newfound power into your daily life, allowing you to embrace decision-making without guilt. Your thoughts and experiences are vital as we continue this journey toward unapologetic living together. Please share your insights, as your engagement helps to foster a supportive community committed to embracing their power. To effectively step into your power while reducing guilt, it is crucial to recognize when you are allowing guilt or the need for validation to shape your decisions. Begin by cultivating a practice of self-awareness. Pay attention to the moments when you feel compelled to seek approval before making choices. Ask yourself, are these decisions influenced by the expectations of others? By identifying these triggers, you can begin to dismantle the behavior that holds you back. One useful method is to maintain a decision-making journal where you document situations that lead to feelings of guilt or hesitation. This reflective practice can highlight patterns that need to be addressed. A significant mindset shift is to redefine your understanding of power and guilt. Many individuals associate assertiveness with negativity or selfishness, internalizing the belief that prioritizing their needs exceeds what is acceptable. It's essential to understand that stepping into your power does not mean disregarding others. Rather, it involves recognizing your own worth and needs. Psychological research emphasizes that individuals who establish healthy boundaries and prioritize their own well-being often report greater fulfillment in relationships. Embracing this perspective allows you to view your desires and opinions as inherently valuable, paving the way for authentic self-expression. To put this mindset into action, engage in the empowerment scenario exercise. Think of situations in which you typically hesitate to assert yourself. Identify specific examples where you felt guilty about expressing your needs or desires. Write down these scenarios and, next to each, draft an alternative response that reflects your true desires. For instance, if you often agree to plans you don't want to attend, write down what you would say instead, such as, "I really appreciate the invitation, but I need to focus on my own priorities this weekend." Practicing these alternative responses can help you prepare for real-life situations, diminishing the fear associated with asserting yourself. Real-life examples illuminate the importance of stepping into your power guilt-free. Consider the story of James, who struggled with expressing his opinions in meetings at work. He often found himself agreeing with colleagues to avoid confrontation, leading to frustration and resentment. After recognizing this pattern, he decided to implement a practice of preparing for meetings by writing down points he wanted to make. The first time he shared his views, he felt a wave of guilt rise, but reminded himself that his input was valuable. To his surprise, his colleagues responded positively, and he realized that speaking up enhanced his credibility and confidence. James's experience demonstrates that the discomfort of stepping into your power is often temporary and can lead to unexpected affirmations of your worth. As you traverse the path toward living authentically, remember that stepping into your power involves both acknowledging your needs and allowing yourself to act upon them without guilt. Each assertion of your true self reinforces your ability to live unapologetically, creating a healthier relationship with yourself and others. The journey of self-empowerment will have challenges, but with consistent effort and practice, you can cultivate a fundamental belief in your worth, making it easier to navigate life's complexities while remaining true to who you are. In this journey through unapologetic living, prioritize yourself and break free from guilt. We have navigated the essential steps to reclaiming your sense of self-worth and authenticity. From understanding the psychological roots of validation-seeking behaviors to learning how to set healthy boundaries, each lesson has equipped you with the tools necessary to embrace your true desires without the weight of guilt. You have explored the importance of trusting your own needs, recognizing that living unapologetically not only enriches your life, but also fosters deeper connections with those around you. By stepping into your power and prioritizing your well-being, you are now better prepared to navigate the complexities of relationships and personal aspirations with confidence. Thank you for taking the time to engage with this material. Your commitment to your own growth is commendable. If you found value in this journey, please like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful discussions and guidance. Together, let's cultivate a community dedicated to unapologetic living and mutual empowerment.